Welcome to Verbal Peak Radio, where we give you a verbal image of life, and we are everyday people. Like to welcome you all to the show. Today we're doing part 2 with Cisco on race relations and can we love one another, and is there such thing now in the midst of everything that's going on to where the power of love can penetrate all this hate, or have we gone too far? So I'd like to welcome to the show Brother Cisco. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, black man? You doing all right?
Yes, sir, bro. I'm glad to have you on today. And I want to start by saying that something caught my attention this morning. And they were replaying one of Joe Biden's speech to President-elect, right?
Okay.
And he said that there's only, everyone doesn't have the sentiment of the Trump followers, that there's only a few. And then he stated something to the effect that we have to unify in a sense, but he was saying that the incidents that took place in the Capitol building is, in a sense, was a random incidents as far as the ideology that the people who perpetrated the act upon the Capitol building felt. And people were saying, wait a minute, presidential-elect, this been going on for over hundreds of years with black people, and there's more than a few people who share that type of supremacist ideology, right? And so,
okay,
is there a way? Because I gotta say this, I want the people to understand that Cisco is coming from mixed parentage, mother white, father black, and from your vantage point, and the reason why I say that is because you got a lot of people who don't understand the dynamics of being in a position to where you can speak on both sides, since you're a part of both sides. Because you got black people from the lightest to the light and the darkest to the dark who feel like they understand the mindset of white people. But how can you when you're not white and you wasn't reared, or one of your parents wasn't white? So how do you know what white people are thinking? I don't think you can. I could be wrong, but I don't think a person can. But the question is, how do we, with this 100-year-old same topic of race and fighting and people saying that they're going to take their country back and whatnot, how can we interject love into the midst of all of that?
Man, Vince, that's a great question, man. So I'll start with touching on, what happened at the Capitol. To me, without diving in too deep, is, I just think it's a form of bullying, Vince. It's a losing numbers effort to make that cult like following seem bigger than what it is. I think that there's a lot of people who share the same ideologies throughout the country who aren't there, who are maybe more quiet, aren't as outspoken? I do. But I think that I truly feel like a shift is happening, right? So I think from the time that we had a man of color in presidency, Barack Obama, that was a huge shift. And I remember, I was still a little bit younger. I wasn't really into the politics and stuff like that. But it was, seeing him and his wife, Michelle, up there, was like, man, something is changing in this country. And what I think is happening, Vince, is I think that racism, although it's alive and well, those racist folks are starting to realize that, like, this world is just it's a melting pot. It's blended. You got black people married Asian people married Indian people like it's all these stereotypes and cultural restraints that were come from the roots of a culture. Once society was integrated between black and white, people weren't able to speak out as much as they wanted to. If it was a white girl wanted to be with a black man, or vice versa. But I think it started to die, Vince. And when somebody is insecure about something, my reference to a bully, what do? They lash out because they're so insecure about something. A bully isn't a bully because he's somebody. He's a bully because he's insecure about something. And I think that this world is starting to shift, Vince. The interracial couples, if you're intentional with your views, when you walk out of your house and you look around, interracialness in relationships, friendships, it doesn't have to be, with a spouse or someone you're dating. We're so blended. And when something is in threat, that's where I think a lot of that is coming from. And so I think, although we look at it as, man, this is crazy, how is this happening? We have to look at the other side of it. And from my perspective,
right.
From like I said, there's a shift happening, Vince, and this is like their last push to try it. The president was their last chance to be like, man, this is, and they're saying make it great again. It's just no, you just aren't ready. These people aren't ready for change. That what they've been inbreeding themselves with over hundreds of years is dying. They can't control their kids. Their daughters want to date people of color because they go to school and they see everybody, mixed up together. So when you start to lose control of something, you start to lash out.
Okay, right. But he had 74 million voted for Trump. He had 88 million followers on Twitter before Twitter shut him down, right? And Twitter and that was after Twitter shut him down after the incident on January 6th at the Capitol building. But no one dropped him after all of the things that he's done. Now, why are his followers in the millions? Why are they upset? They're angry. And the funny part about it is, and the Vice President Mike Pence said, "Hey, watch how you really handle this situation, because the more angrier they get, the more they're prone to violence." And we're still trying to understand what's the force that's driving that anger. When they say, we want our country back, and we trying to. I hope they don't think black people got the country. We don't have it because we don't have the wealth and the benefit of the country. We still getting shot in the street by police officers. Who has the country? Can you give us an insight into what are they saying when they saying we want our country back? From who?
That's good, Vince. I think there's a racist element to it, and for me, I always look at both sides of everything.
Right.
I try to be fair, and I've actually been, I've been having these conversations actually with my mentor, from church. We have conversations and we talk about both sides of things, and one thing that's interesting is you got to look at, okay, let's step out of the racism part of it for a minute.
Okay.
Do I think everybody that's at these rallies or who supports Trump or his followers are racist? Do I think all of them are 100%? No, I do not believe that.
Okay.
What I think you have people who have value. Now, through the past, the Republicans have been more strict to keeping things black and white.
Right.
And what I mean by that is, so the first non-gender baby was just born, I believe, in California, if I'm not mistaken.
Wait, what do you mean? Wait, whoa.
Hold on. I'm gonna tell you. Hold on. Let me tell you. So what I mean by that is from the Democratic side of things, they're more open to, you know, non-gender specific restrooms. You know, if you want to wake up one day and be a girl, you can be a girl. If you want to wake up one day and be a boy, so now they're pushing for, you know, well, a baby can be born as a non-gender, and then one day they can decide what gender they want to be. So this is just an example, an isolated example. You have a lot of people out there who believe or who are in their faith. You know, I'm a faith-based man. Do I have like this super strong, passionate opinion about this topic? No, but it's valid in the sense that a lot of people from the Republican Party have more traditional views,
right,
than the Democratic side of things. And where it's like we're getting to a world to where Vince, if you have a son who's or a daughter who's in the bathroom with somebody in there who's saying, well, I'm gonna be a girl today, but it's a man by birth. So you have a lot of people, I think, that follow the Republican side of things because of the traditional values in terms of like where the Democratic side is opening things more up to be like, well, we're free, let's live in love, let's, everything is good, let's, you know what I mean, everybody can just be who they want to be. But if you start to give up control of what's right and what's wrong, you know what I mean? Exactly. And you lose the traditional values that, it biblically, and I'm not going to sit here and go through all the biblical things, but you can use your imagination. It's letting go of like tradition and just like, it's just kind of like, well, it's just an open market for whatever people are feeling today. That's what we're going to go for. So there's that accountability aspect. So like I said, I'm not knocking one or the other, but I think you have a lot of people who follow that. And from what I've been hearing is that it's like, it's the tradition that's leaving of things being black and white. So it's not everybody who's because they're following him because they're racist. I think it's more political than it is racism for some folks.
Well, I can agree with that because now I would stand with the more traditional viewpoints with Republicans on the sense of when it comes to gender. It's, if a child is born and if it has male or female plumbing, but the hell, it's a male or female. There's no. Yeah, exactly. How can you have a non-gender baby?
Exactly, it's mind blowing. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not because look, the purpose was if you want to advance the human race with knowledge, then you multiply man and woman brings child. If you stop that process over time here, we'll cease to exist.
Exactly. 100%. 100%.
And the purpose was because be ye perfect, meaning as we evolve as human beings, we are bettering ourselves. We are renewing our mind and body. And as time go on, you might see a perfect human. And the reason, and the reason why I say that is because people are living longer today than they was, in previous years. I say 100 years ago, and that trend is going to keep on continuing. We're going to keep on figuring things out, and it's just like the men and women you see today, compare them to 400 years ago. There's a difference.
No, I agree, Vince. And to get to, the second part of your question, and how do we overcome the challenging times that we're in due to this extreme, hostile and racist environment that, a percentage of our country is pushing right now. How do we get through that? And, I was thinking about this, and it's something that I harp on every day. And I was just sitting here thinking about it right now, and it comes down to two words, Vince. And it's being organically intentional. Mm-hmm. And organic and intentional are my two favorite words. And for me, it's what that means to me, and what I hope, will strike a chord in people's hearts who may be listening who already feel this way. And you ask, how can we get past this, right?
Right.
So for me, it's, when I wake up every day, I heard a good quote one time. It's like, how do you wake up every day? do you just wake up like an accident, just flowing through the day, just, well, with no real purpose? Or are you waking up with intention every day? And I think for those who wake up with intention every day, who have love in their heart, love is going to conquer all. And how I look at people who have hate in their heart right now is we can cover that with love and eventually turn their hearts back to love, because we were all born with love in our heart. But it's, I was listening to the great Les Brown yesterday, and Les said, the devil and evil is always working. People are always doing something, for us, it's social media, it's online right now. It's so good what he said. He said people are always pushing a negative agenda, a hate agenda. And he's like, what are the people doing who have goodness and love in their heart? He's like, evil is outworking us. What are we doing? So someone like yourself, who has this platform, everybody, we all have a voice now. We have social media, we have microphones, we have, technology is affordable. And what he said was so good is that evil is outworking us. And he said, I'm not going to let that happen. For me, I'm going to outwork the people who are outworking me. It's just like anything else in life, whether it's your career or whatever. How hard are you willing to work to love others? And so when I say waking up intentional, when you go to the grocery store, when you go to the gym, when you go inside of your apartment building lobby, are you asking people, hey, how are you? How are you doing today? How's your day been? Showing them love, the reflection of love. For me, it's a reflection of Christ through me because of my faith. But even if you are a non-believer, you should be reflecting love. Anybody can reflect love, no matter what color you are, what faith you have. So to me, it's just being intentional with every interaction that you have, because there's people that I interact with for my job and in my life that I can tell, hey, you know what, they probably wouldn't, they aren't feeling me because of the color of my skin, but I show them love.
Right.
And there's nothing that they can do but be like, wow. And I know that I have the strength and I have the power within me and in my faith that person is going to think about, man, this person showed me love as much as and maybe they don't change their ideology overnight, but they're never going to forget that encounter. So we always got to fight the enemy with love. We can't fight hate with hate, because this is going to breed more hate.
Wait.
So it's just being intentional with how you love people, and we got to love everybody. Everybody. I don't care if I run into a racist today. I'm gonna show you love, brother. I'm gonna hold the door for you. You need $1. I'm gonna give you $1. It don't matter. Show love, and that's how we're gonna break this curse.
Well, then let me ask you this though. And this is not the views that you're sharing, the views that I'm sharing. We are speaking on hypotheticals, because we are saying things that some want to say that don't have the courage or the opportunity to say. So the person hates you, you're going to open the door, show them love. Now, what if they haul off and hit you?
I mean, that's what we have laws for, Vince. I mean,
so you wouldn't turn around and physically put your hands on them. You would call the police.
I mean, Vince, if somebody hauls off on me, I mean, for me specifically, I mean, I'm a big dude. You know what I'm saying? I'm 6'2", 270, so I ain't really worried about somebody hitting me. I'm aware of my surroundings. People know the repercussions of. There's cameras everywhere.
Right.
So you hit me, you're going to jail. You know what I'm saying? If you hit me and you keep hitting me, well, then I'm gonna defend myself. So I guess it's a situation by situation basis. But if you attack me, well, then I have to defend myself. Okay. If you hit me, okay, I can take one on the chin. That's cool. Look, it's on camera. Or hey, call the laws. This man's right here. Look, you know what I'm saying? This man just assaulted me. Cool. So it's how the situation were to escalate, I guess. So that would be specific.
Okay. Well, the reason why I asked that because we're trying to get the proper mindset for what some fear is on the way, because you got a group and it's not 10,000, it's not 20, it's not 100,000. It's a nice size number that's calling for civil war, right? And so those who they want to inflict the civil war upon have to get their mindset ready on how they're going to react just in case it goes down, right? Do you go get your guns? Do you pray them off? Do you hope they don't come? Do you hope that the justice system and the police department who you pay your tax dollars to will get in the way and interject, even though we got evidence that some of the Capitol Police was in on the deal. So that let them in the office. They were working with them. For the victims who've been victimized by a certain ideology for years, they have to get in their mindset on how to prepare themselves in the best strategic means or strategy in order to prevail this thing, because man, everybody is on edge,
No, that's a great point, Vince. I mean, let me try and tackle this best way I can. So, first of all, we have, a governing body in place to protect the citizens. A lot of people feel that, that's not, how the system is working right now. You do have bad apples, in every bunch of anything that you do. It doesn't matter. I'll share a personal, quick testimony for me is, when I was growing up, my mom, when she was single, there was a cop, white dude, bald head. Look, fit the description of what you see online with these dudes getting in trouble, man. And I'll never forget, this dude showed me so much love as a kid for years while my mom was struggling. This little brown boy, he used to come over. He used to have me come stand on the milk crate and watch him work on his truck on the weekends. He would buy me lunch, and he would, just pour life into me. He was a good guy. So I think one thing that we really have to break is we have to break, the fact that all laws are bad. You know what I mean? Because
right.
There's a lot of good officers that are out there. There's a lot of, people, a lot of law enforcement, military, that are of color. So the media projects it that, well, all police are, white and they're all evil. And, I don't believe that fully. You know what I mean? To me, that's an agenda-driven, form of control that, man, this is the way that they are. And I don't think everybody's that way. And I think that, we live in a democracy, and if to think that, well, if these people come, that they're just going to take over. I mean, look at our country. Look at how many people of color live in this country. If we all came together, I mean, we are the dominating, all the colors together. There are more of us than, if you blend all the races, if you want to say against, white people. But I don't even like to say that because,
right.
When you look back at history, man, so many of these, so many people of Caucasian, descent have some type of Native American bloodline, have some type of, they just don't even know their history. They're lost. When you're full of hate, you're lost. So I think what people need to understand is, if somebody comes into your home, somebody's attacking you, you're going to defend yourself, right? But to have the mindset that, man, these people are calling for civil war, they were doing that months and months and months ago. And okay, they had the one thing at the Capitol, but it's been quiet. Nothing's been happening. I personally haven't seen too many, shootings on the TV and stuff. I think, there's an accountability aspect that's coming around, and that's where I'm saying this was like a last push and a last effort at the Capitol, because it's like, man, our hate is getting killed off.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I just feel like there's nothing to be scared of. And me, asking a man of faith, I give him my faith-based answer. And it's one my mentor, challenged me one time, being that we live in Texas and a lot of us are gun-friendly state, is at the end of the day, as a believer, he challenged me. And I'm not there yet, but it's like, man, the Bible should be your weapon. That's your, all weapons formed against me shall not prosper. You know what I mean? So you got to take it back. For me, I'm going to always, refer back biblically, and it's hard, it's tough. You're like, man, I'm in fear. But if I live in fear, then I'm letting the enemy win.
Right.
And I'm never going to let the enemy, win. And, no matter what happens, as long as I have love in my heart, man, it's like, it doesn't matter if you're about to take your last breath, you're getting attacked, man. Nobody can take your heart from you. Nobody can take your mind from you. And as long as you live in peace and harmony and you're showing love, I mean, sometimes we ask ourselves, well, why did the good go so young? And it's just like, man, why did they go? But it's just, there's nothing you can do to control other people or how life is going to happen, because it's none of it is going to be ordained by us, because it's ordained by a higher power.
That's right.
And so I just feel like it's just, man, just love. Like I said, you protect yourself, you protect your family, but to try and, strategically, bear arms and radicalize, like they are doing, it's just joining the enemy. So that's just kind of my view on it. Like I said, protect yourself, protect your family, be aware at all times, taking the information that's being put out there. Don't take it, lightly, Always you want to take threats seriously, but to constantly consume yourself with the thought of what may happen is going to have you miss sight of what you could be doing to put love into this world.
Right. So I would say get in your mind that you're going to love. Don't be the aggressor, but fight with those who fight with you. But you are love and peace all the time, but, meaning, and this is what I tell people. This is my story, man. And I believe this, and I might die believing this way, right? I want peace. I want to enjoy life, right? And so I'll carry myself in that manner. And if someone doesn't like me and they got something against me or whatever, then I give them the benefit of the doubt and I will avoid them. I will go somewhere off and, hey man, that's your space. Do what you do. That's fine. I understand. That way I'm trying to do everything I can to avoid any type of confrontation, right? But if that person crosses the line and shows me that he doesn't want the peace, he wants conflict, then I'll say, okay, well, I got to deal with this thing. Let's deal. But I will make the first attempt at peace. And even when in my mind, even if we locked in any sort of conflict or even if we engage, in my mind, this is the method that has to be done in order to come to a peaceful resolution, because maybe this is what they understand. Some people you can sit down and talk to and they're intelligent and you can get an understanding. Some people, you got to take them to court or call the police on them so they can understand. And some people just downright need ass whooping so they can understand.
I hear what you're saying, Vince. So I'm gonna ask you a question, Vince. This is let me ask you this, man. How many encounters have you had where you felt like you needed to whoop somebody?
Well,
recently. So. Oh, okay. So I asked you that question with. We know that racism is alive and well. It's not to. It was more of a rhetorical question, but right. How often are we really dealing with this?
Well, not. You know what? Right. Not. I had some incidents, but not every day and not often. The last incident I had with racism was at a Valero gas station, and I was trying to get some change to use the air for my vehicle because my tire was low. And I asked the clerk, I said, well, before you close the register, after you finish with this customer, I want to get some change, $2 in change, so I could put in this air compressor to pump my tire. I think it was like $1.50 at the time. And the white guy turned around and told me, wait your turn. I say, my bad, I didn't mean to buy it, but I was just waiting for it. Then the dude called me a nigga, man. Seriously. And I said, okay, I'll tell you what. I say, look, if you turn around and look at me, and if you say anything else to me, I'm gonna beat your ass in this store, right? True story. He turned around, called me a nigga again, and it was on, bro. I'm talking about, I tried to, and the funny part about it was, he told the clerk to call the police on me, right? But the clerk was an Indian dude, and he was like, shit, I hope he kick your ass, you know what I mean? But once he looked around and realized, man, it was blacks in the store, Asians and Indians in the store, and he realized he got out of there. You know what I mean? In a sense, but because when I hit him, he was like, "You going to jail?" But I'm like, dude, I wasn't bothering you. You the one created this hostility, but I don't know that. Man, in hindsight, maybe I could have just let him do that and gone about my business, but I had reached that level, and it was, okay. It happened as it happened.
No, I feel you, and I mean, I guess and you know what? I'm so glad you brought this example up, man, because this is, it's one of those things. It's one of those learning moments, man, where we're all trying to learn and we're trying to grow, and it's just like I'm putting myself in your shoes, and I'm just thinking, how would I handle that situation, and I understand where the frustration, comes from, but you got to really look at it, man. This, he's coming from an ignorant mindset,
right?
But I'm sitting here thinking like, man, you wanted to fight, bitch. You let him get the best of you, so you let the enemy use words to provoke your action.
And you know why I did it? You right? You know why I did it though? I'm gonna tell you. You know why I did it, and it came to me because I looked back, right, and there was a black female in the store and a little younger black dude, right. And I said I done it because hopefully, when he run into another black person, he won't feel as so free to just invoke or spew his racism onto another black person. And I thought,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I thought that this was a lesson teaching moment for him in the future, because he probably been doing it for years and nobody challenged him on it, and it might well make him think twice that we are not the same.
So let me ask you this: what other side of the token, B? What if you would have said, you know what, sir? I really don't appreciate you calling me that, but you know what? I understand that you're coming from a place of whatever it may be, some type of hurt, some type of misunderstanding. But you know what? That's okay. I don't need you to help me with the change. But one thing I am gonna do for you is I'm gonna pray for you. And I'm gonna pray that whatever hate that you have in your heart is gonna leave. And I hope that you don't ever use that word again. But that's on you. But all I know is I can pray for you. Now, if you had hit him with that, imagine what might have happened to that man. Imagine to the people that are in that store watching you. They're like, man, this dude just got called the N-word, and he told this man he's gonna pray for him, and he spoke to him in a polite and nice tone. And he was intentional about not letting what he was saying get to him. To me, is the victory in that situation. Because that man would have, then you say the next person that he encountered, man, next time I think I might, man, hold up, the last black person that I encountered, man, told me he was going to pray for me when I was trying to be, nasty with him. Man, he would never forget that moment. He would remember that moment. At the end of when his time came, he would be like, man, that's just a moment where, man, that's what we live for.
Right,
That's where the love covers the hate.
Right.
That's where the blood that Jesus Christ shed for us, for me and your sin, to cover our faults. That's us extending that grace over hate and saying, you know what, that's okay. I'm gonna pray for you, brother, and Jesus loves you. And that's okay. And I'm going to go around and I'm going to figure out another situation where I can get some help.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Hypothetically, let me ask you this. Now, back in the olden days, they would give you instructions or wisdom or advice, right? Then they'd hit you, and then they say the blow was so that you won't forget. Did you ever heard that or even seen them replaying some of these?
So let me just make sure I'm understanding. So you're saying the blow is coming from the oppressor, right, to the oppressed. So you're saying
no. The blow was meaning if I would have gave the guy words of wisdom, and then gave him a blow, and the blow was just so you would never forget these words of wisdom. It's like, spare the rod, spoil a child. You acting like a child, meaning when I was a child, I thought as a child, but now that I'm an adult, I put away childish things. Well, then by you behaving that way, you put yourself in a child's position. So here come this rod, and hopefully you step up into a man's position after that.
I mean, I personally don't believe in that, because I don't have to hit you to hit you, right? You with me? I don't have to hit you for you to remember. Because what? Because I'm still letting you control me.
Okay.
If I hit you with the words of, I'm gonna pray for you, Jesus loves you, and I cover that hate, I have won in that situation. If I can say all the right things, but in my opinion, as soon as you throw that punch, you've already lost because you let him intercede into your thoughts and your heart, and you let that hate pierce you, and you're reacting from it. Maybe you said the right thing, but then you're reacting. You know what I mean?
Right.
And,
Right. It got physical when it could have just stayed at.
It could have just stayed at where it was at. You know, I was listening to my pastor this morning, and there's a guy that comes to our church, and he brings his dogs with him. He's a dog breeder, and you'd be like, man, how do dogs relate to anything? And he was saying that, you know, kind of, and I'm trying to tie it to what you were saying, but eventually, if a dog, if you try and hit it while you're training it, eventually that dog is going to get far enough from you one day if you're essentially abusing it to try and get it right, that when that dog gets a chance to run from you and you call it to come here, that dog is not going to come back. That dog is going to take off and you have to chase that dog down because it's so scarred from being hit and abused to try and get it to do what you want it to do when all you had to do was love it. You love it when it's right, and you love it when it's wrong.
Right.
So that loves that dog is always going to be loyal to you. You keep continually hitting a dog, eventually one day he's going to take off on your ass. You know what I'm saying? Excuse my language, but that's just, you know, so man, when I heard that, I was like, man, it's so good because it applies to us. It's like you being hit enough, you're going to rebel one day.
Right.
You'll be like, man, to hell with this. You know what I mean?
We have Willie Lynch. That's that Willie Lynch doctrine. You right? They kept on, but never showed love, and so they said, well, because you got to remember, it's a teaching moment. You teaching us, is this what an American is, and how to behave and how to respond to things? Because coming out of slavery, you would know, you would hear the comedians talk about how beat your children, how the parents would whoop their kids' ass, and so on and so. They came out of slavery, learned that out of slavery, right? And so you right, you know, now that you know, and so what they taught is how to handle conflict. Bring the whip. You know, if I had a whip on me, I'd have whooped him, but I didn't. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what came out of that mentality and out of that horrific period in this history, in this America's history. So yeah, well, hey, that's what that is, though, brother Cisco. So I get what you're saying. At the end of the day, and hopefully nothing jumps off Wednesday at this inaugural ceremony. But you know, even though they've been making a lot of threats that you know they'll be back on the 20th. Joe Biden won't get sworn in, and you know, a lot of rhetoric to that effect, right? And hopefully everything goes smooth. And as you stated earlier, if everything goes smooth, the people gather together and inject love, but you're saying, but inject that love on the basis of what the Creator laid out for us as beings.
Correct, and I would say it starts now. It starts with, if you got love in your heart, and love is and we all do. It's to start prayer, start speaking, even if you aren't in faith. I would ask your listeners to just speak it out. Things that are spoken out in words hold so much more power than thoughts, right? So even if you don't, it may sound weird, just walk around your house and just say, man, I wish love on the inauguration. I wish love. I wish hate leaves. You know, whatever it is, just get into a place where you're putting out into the universe positivity. And it could be, man, I walk around my house. If I had a camera in my house and somebody's watching me, they'd probably think I'm crazy. But sometimes I gotta generate my own peace because it's this world and the devil is always coming for attack. Right. If you're somebody of faith, start praying today. Don't pray then, don't pray the day before. Start praying now. Be intentional. Like I said, be intentional each and every day. And if we're intentional about projecting love And it could be in your house. It doesn't have to be with anybody else. Like I said, just walk around and say, love. I hope love wins. Love wins. Love wins.
Yeah. I get
you know
what
I'm saying?
Yeah, you saying that if you project love, you get more love, and if you project hate, you get more hate.
I mean, 100%, you got to. But I'm just saying in terms of specifics of that event coming up, something that we can be intentional about, just like I said, being real specific about that. It's just, like I said, if you're of faith or you're not, just start speaking it out into the world. Start sharing with people with love. Man, I hope nothing happens that day, man. I hope people come to their senses, man. I hope somebody, I hope just whatever. I hope something positive happens there. We're all anticipating something bad to happen. Well, man, I hope there's a miracle that happens,
Come on.
I hope something glorious happens that day. Let's stop worrying about the bad. Let's talk about something good that might happen. You know what I'm saying?
I'm with you on that. Brother Cisco, I'm with you on that. I want to see good. I want to see peace. I'd like to see the sun shining on everybody, which brings out peace from within. And that love spreads out throughout all of humanity. I mean, that's because, when you are younger, and let's say before you even understood all of the hatred and whatnot, all you saw, you enjoyed the little things. You enjoyed just seeing a bird flying. You enjoyed looking at the sun clouds. You was so full of life and joy until you got old and started seeing all these ugly things and understanding the fights between adults and the what was behind this and that and what took place on this and that, and it's like, wow. And you got to renew that spirit, man. Renew that same energy. Absolutely, bro.
100%, man. So I end with, man, everybody just love and peace. That's how this relationship started. I'm thankful for V. V showed me nothing but love, since day one. And love is what's in our friendship, Right. So I encourage everybody out there, who listen to Verbal Pick Radio, that you have a man full of love in his heart. He showed that to me. He didn't see my skin color, and he's given me the opportunity and has seen the value in trying to understand deeper what true love is. That could ultimately, hopefully, help him grow. It's helping me grow, and love is flourishing because of a relationship off of just a simple, we bumped into each other, and then now we're great friends. So that's why I say every instant and every person that you interact with, you never know what kind of seed is going to be sown and what type of beautiful, plant, I'm not talking about plants, but relationship can grow out of that. Right. So be intentional as you move throughout this week and your days ahead. And, I pray for everybody. I'll be praying for everybody on this show. Praying for our friendship, and I'm thankful for you giving me the chance to be able to come on and talk again.
Well, I appreciate you for being on the show, and you all will get familiar with Cisco when Pt2 comes out. Man, he brought life on the set with his energy and that positiveness that we all need. Check out the NFAC documentary on Verbal Pick Radio on YouTube. It's playing right now with Grandmaster Jay. Brother Cisco, man, thank you. I appreciate you for being on the show, and I thank you for your wisdom, and I thank you for not being afraid to talk about love in this time. That takes a lot of courage and strength, brother.
I appreciate it, man. Love and peace out there in the world, man. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
It's a Verbal Pick Radio. We're out.